I think one easy way to figure out what you're passionate about is when you try and talk about it. And I started this topic before and I recorded it and it was about 10 minutes long. And so I'm gonna have to divide this up into segments. But anybody that knows me knows that I am passionate about design, that my life kind of revolves around it to maybe a little annoying state to some people, but it makes life more understandable and easier for me. I think design and personal design or personal design aesthetic does a lot to define you as to what you represent, how you function. And one of the easy gauges of that is when someone says, oh, this is totally you. Anybody that knows me can say, oh, this is totally Kurt. And we knew you'd like this because, but one of the jokes, long-running jokes in my family is just, whatever you buy it in black for Kurt, which isn't always true because purple's in there somewhere too. But the whole idea of a personal, strong personal design philosophy kind of permeates everything. In the clothes you wear, the house you live in, the car you drive, and it kind of goes the whole way through. But everybody has their own personal design style, and part of all this is just understanding good design. You don't have to like everybody's personal design, and it doesn't have to be the same as yours, but it can still be good design. And part of all this is being respectful of other good design. And my favorite example of that is my brother's house. My brother and I are exact opposites, pretty much in every sense of the word. He lives in a 200-year-old log house that's furnished with Shaker antiques, and it's absolutely beautiful. Everything about it's a very comfortable house to be in, and it's true all the way through, basically. And it very clearly defines them, my brother and sister-in-law very clearly defines their personal design taste. And you look at that and it's the exact opposite of me. Could I live there? Probably not exactly the way it is, but I'm sure I could live there. Could they live in my house? There's no way they could live in my house. I like it, even though it's not my personal taste. I really, really like it and can respect it. And once you've developed all this, there's good design and bad design, and that's where the differentiation is. And there's a lot of things I think that come into good design and bad design, where, to me, things that are a current fad or trend that you can look at and you know it's only going to be around for a couple months sometimes or a couple years, that to me is not good design. If you're designing a building that is going to be part of a fad that's going to be around for a couple years, that's, to me, doing a disservice to your clients and the people that are actually using that building. Now, there are exceptions to that, and I think some of those exceptions may be retail, where a lot of retail design tends to follow fads for fad-related items. You can look at some stores like a Tiffany's or a Coach store or an Armani store that are going to be very, very timeless to go along with the product. And then you can look at other stores that are a little more fad-oriented, and I'm having a hard time coming up with that because I can't think of where I shop that's like that. But the other one is hospitality. You tend to see fads moving in hospitality, in restaurant design, and in hotel design. Those, I think, tend to go in cycles because people are looking for certain things and they're looking for certain reasons to go back. And some people go back to see change. Some people go back to make sure it's still the same, and it's comforting to them that way. But from a personal standpoint, I think once you define your own personal design sense, for me, it makes life a whole lot easier for the most part. It makes it a little more difficult in some areas. Like, I lived in the same house for like 15, 16 years, and when I finally decided to move, it took forever to find a house. And I told my real estate agent, I said, this is going to be hell going through looking for what I like, and I'll know it when I see it. And I probably looked at 60 to 70 houses before I found what I liked and what I was comfortable in. And I compare that back to some of the quote-unquote reality shows that you look at 3 houses and you pick one house and you spend, you know, $300,000 for a house that you compared it to 2 other things. That's not, you know, that's just not right. I don't think you can find something like that in 3 houses. But anyway, we know the reality shows aren't real anyway. But you know, looking at design in general, and I'm going to split this up into topics for other stuff, but like I said, I don't think design equals fad or fad equals design, and you've got to be aware enough to know the difference between them. And one of the other big misconceptions is, I don't think good design has to cost a lot of money. I think it's the exact opposite of that. I think part of good design is being able to do it for an affordable price. So whenever you look at something that is good design, it does not mean it costs a lot of money. So I'm going to break these up later on and go through stuff, but the point of it is develop your own personal design aesthetic that really defines you and that you can live by, and it really makes life a lot simpler.